So at this point, about the last thing we have to do is to put in the background tone. Right now the background is completely white, as you can see, and the result is that it's making the face appear a little bit too dark. This is so light that everything else looks kind of artificially dark. Now, choosing a background tone is a delicate thing. It depends on a lot of different factors, okay? So if your background goes too black, it can have the same effect as having a totally white background, which is to say that it sort of washes things out so that you don't see the internal contrast. If it's white like this, then the same thing happens. It's sort of about, what you want to do is to sort of experiment a little bit, start light and gently work your way darker until it hits a value range that you think makes sense for your subject matter. So I'm starting off with the vine charcoal. Be careful when you get to the edge. Now you see what I did right there is I was afraid to go all the way to the edge, and it's left a white line between the background and the forehead. I call those halos, okay, and I did that to show you what not to do. Do not leave halos. Unless you are drawing a picture of a saint, you don't need halos. It denies the edge the ability to roll back into the background. So make sure you go right up to that edge and maybe even a little bit over it. Okay, I've got some splotches, so I'm going to change the direction of my mark making. That might be from when we were erasing the grid. So remember I told you I started in that place and I said, look, if you do it like this, it's going to change the texture of your paper and your charcoal won't stick the same way. That's why you've got to be careful with that, okay? All right, so I've got a tone in there, and I'm going to do a little bit of what's called vignetting. That means I'm going to make it darker toward the outside edges and make it a little lighter toward the middle. You don't have to do this. I'm just choosing to do it. I'm going to take my charcoal directly in there. This may help disguise that mark a little too. And toward the outside edge of my paper, I'm going to let it get just a touch darker. This could also be called creating a cameo effect, where you draw attention to the center by making the outside edges darker. Okay, and keep working and blending there until you're satisfied with the general tone. You know what? I'm going to make this the corner of a room, since I can't get rid of that line. There. If you can't fix something, turn it into something. Right now I have a corner of the room. I'm going to put a little bit more charcoal over here to do my vignette on this side. Excuse me. Go. All right, and now we have a finished charcoal portrait with highlights, midtones, shadows, and reflected light. Oh, this little part of the ear. One thing you notice when you put in the background tone is sometimes it will change the relationships of the values inside. There we go. I feel like that made the ear a little too light. Also, there were some wispy little hairs happening right in here. Okay, and there was also an extra little strand of hair. It fell across the forehead. A bit like that. Okay, and with that, I think we're pretty well finished.